Hey guys, it's Tom Box here. Welcome to MST.TV. Sitting here today delivering to you guys the favorite segment of them all. The one that takes about 40 to 50 hours to make. Set analysis of Soul Fusion. Yeah, that's right. I love doing this because I just love sitting here and doing nothing else but Yu-Gi-Oh, right guys? If you guys can't hear the sarcasm, it's because it's really dreadful going through this, and it feels like I lose about 7,000 to 8,000 worth of life points every time, so if you guys could heal me with a couple of cards in the comment section below, that'd be great. Like really, I'm like about to get burned to death by just desserts. So anyways, this video is brought to you by the Patreons. Huge shout outs to my most recent Patreon, Lewis. Bam! You are the #1 Patreon right now, on top of everyone else. It's a huge support to you. I love you, and I'll be listening to what your requests are for proxies in the near future. As for anything else, this video is going to be split into 2 parts. If you guys want a short video, this is the short video for you guys, where we'll be talking about all the secrets and all the hype cards that I'm pretty excited about, so stuff that you should be aware of. As for the next part, it's going to be about various archetypes and supports, and we're going to go into a bit more detail so that you don't get taken by surprise, because some of this underrated stuff, a lot of the good players, they don't pay attention to it, they lose to it, they blame the opponent for being a sack. It's just because, well, you suck for not paying attention or reading the card, really. So that segment is on that side. I'll go over all the other archetypes as well, including all the big hype ones. So we're gonna kick things off with all the secrets, as you can see to my right, and also we'll be talking about the hype cards afterwards. And the hype cards, there's just 4 of them I really want to talk about that perhaps have a lot more influence in the game, and some things that perhaps we've been waiting for a very long time. You braved the winter for this, and we'll talk about it very soon. Now, to run down the list of secrets, we have Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. We also have Condemn Witch. Next, we have the Thunder Dragon Brothers of Fusions. We have Thunder Dragon Titan and Thunder Dragon Colossus. Respectively, they were Super Bolt and Thunder Dragon Lord, if you've been playing the OCG stuff. Then we have the Orchestrated Return, which is Orfengal Prime, which is the draw card. Then we have Trap Trick, which is not a Trap Tricks, but it does function like a very annoying trap searcher. Then we have the 2 TCG exclusive Danger Thunderbird and Danger Tsuchinoko. Is that his name? I want to see if his name is correct. Yes, Tsuchinoko. Yay, the level 3 snake. So that would be all the secrets available here. Let's go into some more detail. For our first secret monster, we're going to talk about the Chaos Boss monster of Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. Legionnaire, this one is I guess the prime dragon of them all, because you can use both light or dark monsters to summon, whereas BLS Chaos Emperor, they require 1 light, 1 dark. I believe they were probably the best ones still. This one's not too bad. It requires 3 light or dark monsters, and depending on what you use, you get a different effect. If you use all lights, you get to special summon a monster from your graveyard in defense mode. All darks, you get to shuffle away 1 card from your opponent's hand back into their deck, giving them a bit of a, I guess, a card advantage for yourself. And then if you use light and dark, you have to pop 2 cards on the field. It's up to 2 cards, so you don't have to be like, oh, I gotta pop my own stuff. No, you get that flexibility. However, whenever you do use any of those effects on summon, you can attack with this card. He has a 3k beat stick, body, 0 defense. That's just something that you should be aware of. So I feel like this card's really well designed to be a balance card, because you either get the full flexibility of manipulating the field or getting some utility, or you get the aggressor. You get to beat down your opponent and go for your victory condition. So that's what I think about it, and because of that, it does slow the card down. So in terms of price point wise, I see this card coming out at like a $25-ish card. That's for like sneak, and they're probably selling down to about $20. It is a Chaos Dragon after all. It's pretty neat to have this card in your deck. But if you compare it with cards like BLS, you just require 1 light, 1 dark, and then it can attack twice, it can banish cards on the field. It is very useful, and the effect is like more than once per turn. Of course, once per turn right now, in terms of like a competitive context, you're most likely only going to be able to use it once. If you're able to use it more than once, your opponent should be losing by now. No, that's just a saying. If a card lives on the field for more than 1 turn, you know you're gonna win, basically. So yeah, that's my price point for this particular card, Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. Legionnaire. Fairy players rejoice! You guys get one of the best secret rares in the set here, which is Condemned Witch. There's a precursor to this card, which was Condemned Maiden. Condemned Maiden basically lets you activate 1 quick play spell from your hand during your opponent's turn. Well, that's about it. That's all she does, and that's once per duel. Now, as for Condemn Witch, kind of follows up on the Forbidden Quick Play spell series, whereas when you normal summon this card, you get to add a Forbidden Quick Play spell from the deck to the hand, except for Forbidden Graveyard. But that means you can still add Lance to protect your cards, you can add Chalice to negate a card, you can add Scripture, I don't know what that does, and you can even add Duress to protect your cards. That's a lot of cards that you have options to. In other words, on the normal summon, you already have a plus. Although she does have a weak stat of 100 attack and 2000 defense. So why wouldn't you set her? Well, that's because she comes with the ability to tag herself out and tether out another monster by tributing herself during the opponent's main phase. I believe it's the opponent's main phase. Yes, and it's a quick effect. So it's very much hard to dodge and hard to kind of counter unless you have Call by the Grave. That being said, this card is pretty amazing because you get to special summon out any level 4 fairy monster from the deck. So I can see that you can go into that Condemn Maiden and give yourself the quick activation of your quick play spell, but that's a really dumb move in my opinion. Instead, what you're more likely going to do is summon out Bountiful Artemis, maybe your counter fairy stuff to tether them all out if you already have the full back row. It's just the free ability to summon out any problem monster that your opponent doesn't like dealing with. You can even go into Ariadne, or if you're playing anti-burn, you can go into Nurse Reficule, because Nurse Reficule had a problem of searching yourself out. This gives you, if you're running 3 copies of this card, you get to search out a lot of your deck with a lot more consistency. I can see this card coming out to be, well, since fairies aren't exactly the most popular at this moment, it could be out around like $20 something. $20-$25 on the release, and it'll probably settle around 15 to 20. And then during the peak season where a fairy deck that do run level 4s spike up, this card will probably be in the 40-50 range. And that's just my guess on how it's going to be priced, because it's always based on demand. And right now, demand for this card isn't exactly the highest. So yeah, pick it up while you can. I would recommend keeping a playset if you want to get it early before the prices spike, and then you can probably flip it off later. Thunder Dragon players, rejoice, as you guys have the most expensive archetype in this entire, well, box. Yeah, so you have Thunder Dragon Colossus and you have Thunder Dragon Titan. Colossus is your super bolt that lets your opponent not search from their deck anymore, and it has a self-protecting effect to keep itself alive from battle and card effect. And if your opponent even tries to do it, you can banish one of your Thunder monsters from your graveyard to keep it alive. Okay, that doesn't sound like much, but that protection effect automatically synergizes with the rest of the Thunder Dragon family, where if they get banished or sent from field to graveyard, you trigger a plus effect. One which includes searching any Thunder Dragon card from the deck to the hand, or the other one which lets you special summon out a Thunder Dragon out from the deck onto the field, or during the end phase you can add it back to your hand. In other words, mass pluses all around, which is crazy. And you can even link it from one to the other, where you summon out the dude that searches for any card. If that card gets sent to the graveyard, now you can add any card. So you can multi-layer your defenses. And that's why this card is crazy good. Summoning condition-wise is pretty easy. As a fusion, well, you can fuse a regular Thunder Dragon plus another Thunder monster. Or you can use the easy to access, already pre-synergized effect of activating a Thunder monster from your hand and then just tributing a Thunder Dragon monster on the field, or Thunder monster on the field, and just summon it off from the extra deck. It's that easy. With a 26 body that's self-protected, this card is one of the key players of the deck, and you just have to make this card. And I believe this is a 3-up because you'll be spamming it really, really quickly, and you want that easy access. So that being said, price point wise, it's going to be about $40 to $50 on release. Yeah, I can see it because OCG already has some success with this card with the Dino Thunder variant. The Dino Thunder variant, because you can banish out Thunder Dragons, you get to use Thunder Dragon monsters as combo pieces along with your dinosaurs. I can see it being very popular. It's just really annoying. And dinosaurs are already annoying enough with the aggression coming from UCT. So this is a $40-$50 card. It's just going to be like that. So just expect to shell it out. In terms of settling, depending on how they do over here in TCG, it could go down if they kind of settle to more of a tier 2 spot, maybe to about $30, but I can see this card being very expensive for quite some time. As for the brother, Thunder Dragon Titan, this guy, he's a Titan because it's like a 3-headed Trishula-esque dragon. Well, this one gives you a bit more control on the field, whereas the other one prevented your opponent from adding cards in the hand. This one, well, basically limits them from controlling the field. As long as you have ammo. You need ammo to actually play this one, where you need to ditch Thunder Dragon cards from your hand to the graveyard. You have to activate them, and this card will chain on top of that. And you can do multiple chains, as his effect is not once per turn. He also carries a self-protection effect from card effects, but this one is not protected by battle. So if they make a Boral Sword and run it over, yeah, you're gonna really feel it. Or if they go Borreload and steal it, you're also going to feel it very, very much so. So that's something that you should be aware of, and you don't really want to get screwed over by that. But if they can make a Boral Sword while you have this card on the field, you must have blown all your ammo right from the get-go. You have about 3 cards I think you can activate. Well, technically on your own turn, you have about 5 cards you can activate. On your opponent's turn, you have about 2 cards. You have the Thunder Dragon Dark, and you have Thunder Dragon Matrix that can be used as quick effects. So those are the ones that you can just start using to pop. That gives you about 2 pops during your opponent's turn and a bit of protection. But in terms of summoning conditions, super easy. 3 Thunder Dragon monsters, so if you fuse it, you can fuse it from, well, using those 3. And since Thunder Dragon Fusion fuses from the field, banish pile, and the graveyard back into the deck, you get to recycle a lot of your material. And you can even use some of the pre-existing fusion monsters that are in the graveyard and just recycle those resources as well. So you got a lot of recovery in this particular deck, especially when you go into this big boss monster. In terms of price point wise, I see this card being like a $20, $25, and you don't really need to run more than 1 to 2 copies. To be honest, 3 copies is way too much. You have better utility for yourself anyway, so that's just my opinion right there. For a cheaper secret, we have Orchestrated Return. This one is mainly cheaper because it is restricted to the World Legacy Saga, and it's only for the Orcus monsters. So you can send 1 Orcus or World Legacy monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, and it's limited to once per turn. Effect wise, it's pretty basic, but the deck itself does utilize the graveyard as a prime resource, and limiting to a once per turn is a very smart move on Konami, because back then we had a lot of cards that had like, oh, discard and draw 2 cards. That was the basic example of a draw engine card like Destiny Draw. But for any deck that can synergize and utilize the graveyard as a very effective resource and just capitalize on it, those are the ones that you'll see become very broken. That's why Destiny Draw was limited and all that stuff. And limiting it to a hard once per turn, I don't see it being that bad. Although I guess the orchestrated players would definitely argue against me on that point. But in terms of price point for this card, it's probably gonna be a $10 to $15 secret, unless they become very, very powerful and just dominate the meta, which hasn't really happened in our brothers in the overseas area, in the OCG land. So I don't know, maybe we'll see. But for now, it's about like a $10 secret or so, and maybe even settling lower. But who knows? If it tops, it will go up. 6th secret on the line, we have Trap Trick. This is not Trap Tricks, but then the Trap Trick sisters are featured in the artwork. This trap is a trap searcher for anyone that's running 2 or more copies of one particular trap. However, it does come with a bricking condition. Now, I'm just gonna read the card of text right here. Banish 1 normal trap from your deck except for Trap Trick, and if you do, set 1 card with the same name directly from your deck. So you get to immediately set a trap. So a trap searcher for an all trap. It can be activated for this turn, and that's pretty good. And for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can only activate 1 trap card, and you can only activate 1 trap trick per turn. A bit limiting, but I think it's not bad. Here's the thing about this particular card. It can be very different depending on the deck that's running it. If you're playing a Lair deck, a Lair of Darkness deck, you can use this to search out viruses. And I think we all know if you search out a virus, it's going to be very, very devastating because it can completely wreck someone out. I'm glad like Eradicator is limited, but you can still use Deck Dev, you can still use Full Force. It's pretty devastating if it does go off. Aside from that, you have Dimensional Barrier, you have Evenly Match. Evenly Match is like kind of a funnier one because they know that you have Evenly now in the back row and they will have to deal with it. But if you set Trap Trick first, and then your opponent attacks you and does everything, and then you just didn't respawn, they're expecting you to have a scapegoat or something, then during the battle phase, before the battle phase ends, you activate Trap Trick to get the Evenly, and then you activate the Evenly and then you just wipe the board. So that's something that you can do with this particular card. If you're playing Mirror Forces, you can use to dig out some Mirror Force. There's just a ton of utility depending on the format. Now, one thing to keep note of is why you would keep this card is because of an upcoming card called Witch's Strike. If you can search Witch's Strike and just completely blow out your opponent's hand and field because they negated one of your cards, well, congratulations, you basically just won the game. It's like hand looping them and wiping the board all at the same time. So this card, in terms of price point, I can see it being like a 20 to 25, and then it's got potential to go up in the future because it's so generic, and all generic cards all eventually will have some future use. Time for the danger stuff. Danger stuff was previously very expensive in Cybernetic Horizon. I don't know how I think about these two, but I do like the level 3 more than level 8. But starting with the level 8, we have Danger Thunderbird. Danger Thunderbird, this one acts as a set card destroyer, giving you the marksman utility similar to Mermail when this card is discarded. But being a level 8, having multiple level 8 set that you can now actually discard, I think it's pretty useful. It justifies running trade-in, and I think it's kind of focusing more on the Dark World side more than the BA side. Although the BA side, they are not left behind in the dust either, because they have Tsuchinoko, and they can easily go into Dante because it's a level 3 that special summons itself when it's ditched. It special summons itself when it is not ditched by its own effect. So either way, you're getting a free special summon out of Tsuchinoko. That's a pretty cool card in my opinion. But okay, so then as for Thunderbird, you can run trade-in. It justifies running trade-in. If you have 9 targets for trade-in, I think it's, why aren't you running trade-in? Yeah, that's just my opinion here. There's a lot more danger cards as well, aside from the 2 secrets. As for Thunderbird, I hope it's not just a TCG hype, but it's around 25 to 35. That's my range for it. I just don't see it being too impactful. It's not like 2 7s. If you have like another powerful 7, you can make some pretty nasty link plays. But if you're gonna go on the Dark World side, that's where I'm kind of lowering the price, not putting it to like the 50s and like the 40s, which we have seen from the previous Nessie and Bigfoot. As for Tsuchinoko, Tsuchinoko is level 3 that just summons itself. It's probably like a $25 to $30 card. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It could be a very important combo piece in the future. It's very useful for both the danger of BA and the danger of Dark World. I want to see how Dark World actually evolves from this, because if they can actually evolve to a top tier deck, both these cards are going to be very, very expensive. But yeah, that's just my opinion right here. For some hype cards, I got 4 cards for you. One of them is like, what the hell is this card doing here? One is my personal opinion, and the other one is something that Sky Strikers have been looking forward to and was hoping that it wouldn't become a secret. There is the Vectored Blast. This is Hayate's secret move, and her maneuver is to whip out a giant cannon and blow away your extra monster zone, or just blow away 2 cards on top of the deck. So in terms of what it does, when you control no cards in your main monster zone, each player sends 2 cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard. It almost acts like a Foolish Burial Good kind of deal. It's that variation of a setup. Then if you have 3 or more spell cards in your graveyard, shuffle all of your opponent's monster in the extra monster zone back into the deck. That's right, shuffle them back into the deck. Non-targeting removal of the extra monster zone. So you can take out like Thunder Dragon Colossus, easy takeout. Extra links, take them out. Because extra link used to be one of the biggest problems, because if they're able to protect the extra link, you're dead the next turn. And well, extra link is not exactly that big of an issue now that a lot of the cards have been removed, like Goblin that kind of sets it up. Although Gokis are still around, this card can be very useful to taking that out. Of course, Trigate Wizard will try to negate this immediately, so that's something to be aware of. But it does give you that setup, so either set you up for the engage ditch, because if you didn't start with an engage and you played this and you mill into an engage, the Kagari has so much value now because it already has 2 spells in the graveyard to go with it, and that's if you mill, of course, another spell. But if you play another spell to kind of get there, you already have a very powerful engage and a very powerful turn to go with it. This card, I believe, is like a 1 of, maybe 1 to 2. I haven't really paid attention to OCG of how they play this card. Do they even play this card? I don't know. But luckily, it's a super rare for us, so it's a very easy card to acquire for Sky Strikers. Next up, the card that you guys have been waiting for so long. It's like you guys are as patient as Half-Life 3, guys. Half-Life 3 confirmed. There's 3 heads on this monster. Therefore, anyways, let's stop beating that dead horse. Yeah, you get to add a poly and add an engine monster, which gives the deck so much consistency and so much free pluses. If I remember correctly, there was a way for you to add this card from the deck to the hand. It's one of the Fluffle cards that eventually leads into it, which just gives you so much synergy. It's ridiculous. It's, I believe, Edge of Chain. Whenever Edge of Chain sent to the graveyard, add a Frightful card from the deck to the hand, and you can use it to add a poly. And you know how this goes. It's just an endless loop of constantly adding cards. This features basically a double search, and it's like a double engage just for Fluffles. And if you guys don't know what Fluffles do, they're an OTK deck, so now they can OTK you even faster. Well, with the Link stuff, they'll have to work around to kind of get there, but still, getting a plus is always great. Now, I'll be doing you guys a disservice if I did not talk about this Dino Wrestler, this common card, Pancratops. What does it do? Now, for the Dino Wrestlers, which I'll go into in a bit more depth in the next video, which is, what do they do in terms of their playstyle? Well, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you get to do something. That's kind of their gimmick. For this particular guy, it's a Cyber Dragon. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can only summon one of these per turn, which is fine. Okay, you can tribute a Dino Wrestler monster and target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. That is a more versatile MST because you can pop monsters, you can pop whatever. It's a quick effect, you can tribute itself. In OCG, this is a 3 of in the side. I can see this card becoming a super rare or even an ulti in an upcoming tournament pack just because there's so much value in this card. Lucky it's a common, so pick up 3 copies while you can. And if you're going to be playing in like a draft sneak, you need this card. It's a beat stick and it pops anything. It's just super versatile. Alright guys, keep your copies of these because you're going to want it in all of your side decks for now. Okay, now as for my personal pick, I have Herald of the Abyss. Man, I love this card. Pay 1500 life points, declare 1 type and 1 attribute, and if your opponent controls a monster with that type and attribute, make them send it to the graveyard, and also they cannot activate the effect of the monsters with the same name. Sent to the graveyard for the rest of this turn. Okay, so in other words, if they have some sort of floating ability, they do not float because they can't activate. They're basically under Abyss Dweller, completely shut down. What I like about this card is the wording. And this is some of those cards that you guys are eventually going to argue about it, but I'll do a ruling video regarding it, which is make them send one of those monsters to the graveyard. That particular wording means it bypasses various immunities, like a card like a Blackwing Armor Master or Full Armor Master, which is unaffected by all card effects. Well, guess what? I am affecting your player to send you to the graveyard, just like Evenly Match versus Masterpiece that's trapped immune, because you still have to resolve the full condition of the card, and you're making your opponent banish cards and choose cards to banish. It loops around the immunity clauses of so many cards. It's a bit crazy. And I will have a full segment. I already wrote the whole thing up regarding that segment, so that's an upcoming segment in the future when this card becomes a problem for you guys. But it is a decent side deck card, in my opinion. It's just a generic removal. It's really good for one-for-one removals or decks that play multi-attribute, but you can also use this particular card to break like extra links, or you can break various links because it doesn't target. It makes your opponent send cards to the graveyard, which is why it's a good personal pick of mine. It's a one-for-one at the very least if you use it correctly. So there you have it. These are some of the cards that you should be aware of. If I didn't mention a card that you guys think I should have mentioned, leave it down in the comment section below, and please heal my life points as I can't activate this card. If you remember, I am down to almost no life and I'm about to get killed by Just Desserts. And if you guys enjoyed this segment, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, including a Thunder Dragon deck profile, and also the next full set analysis, including every single archetype and all the hype cards, which I will try to condense into a segment under 40 minutes. Now hit that subscribe button, I suppose. And that is all I got for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, that is all I got. So don't forget to hold on to your MST and stay classy, guys. And don't forget to check out the next one. And now I end my turn.